States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, well, thanks everybody for showing up today. We will start out here with public forum. Looks like we might have a couple here. I don't know, do you guys want to talk?
I'll go on first, you go first. Ladies.
Oh, I didn't think, thanks. Morning, Denise Blythe, Royalton Township. And I'd like to play this for people. This is what we woke up to on Friday morning. This is cannabis or Herba, the drug factory. This is their alarms going off at 5 in the morning on the 13th. They've gone off on December 31st. They've gone off in October. You don't hear me complaining about that. But we were able to get a recording this time. This is what it sounds like in our area. This is what it sounds like from my home. Now we've complained about lights. We've complained about odor. We've been told we're the only ones out of 12 licenses that complain. That's not, I mean, if that's true, that's fine, but what we're complaining about is factual. I don't understand why there's alarms that are on the outside of the place instead of silent alarms that would be on the inside. Why do we care from the neighborhood that these alarms are going off? What does that mean? Are we being robbed? Is there fire problems? What does that mean for us as neighbors to have these alarms be going off? And then as far as I know, a deputy said that there was no answer at the facility. Wondered if somebody even lived there. So again, why is this something that we have to experience? Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Denise.
All right, you want to come up?
Yeah, I'll listen today.
You're listening? Okay. Anybody else? And I don't see any other public. Nobody online? All right, we'll move on to the agenda. Any additions or corrections?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the board. We just had an amended request on the child care retention grant. And so just the amounts were updated and slightly reduced, and Leslie will talk about that during her presentation. And then I think Commissioner Holland had just a map provided for a commissioner update discussion.
Okay,
Move to adopt with changes.
great.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, we got a motion by Nelson, second by Holland. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, go ahead, Deb.
Commissioner Holland,
Yes.
Chair Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Waldham,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on. Approve the minutes of the March 3rd, 2026 regular county board meeting and summary for publication.
Ludwig will move.
Okay,
I'll second.
motion by Ludwig, second by Holland. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
On the minutes under land advisory, the dollar amount of the bridge, we never discussed. That was $220,000. So I'd like that added to the minutes because we did discuss the actual dollar amount. And also on number 5, on the closed meeting, there was never a motion made during the open meeting to go into the closed meeting to follow our regular procedure and follow the statute that we have in the past. So the chair actually closed the meeting without the motion being made during the open meeting. So that should reflect in the minutes.
Can I provide a little clarification about
Yep.
how that went?
Yep.
So there was a recess taken and then the motion was made to close the meeting. And so it was the motion to be made to close the meeting was done before the meeting was actually closed, but it was done after that recess.
All
So can
right.
that be explained better in the
What?
minutes?
I don't think it has to be.
I don't know if that needs to reflect or not.
And Mr. Chair, it's really not a statutory requirement. It's more, I guess, procedural Robert's rules. The statutory requirements have to do with notice and such, and those were met in this case. I did go back and review it.
Okay.
That's all I got for the minutes.
Okay, any other discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, go ahead, Deb.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Waldham,
Yes,
Commissioner Ludwig,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, minutes of the boards, committees and correspondence, Pine County Zoning Board minutes, December 2025.
I'll move that.
Okay. Got a motion by Holland.
I'll second.
Second by Ludwig. Any discussion on that? All right, hearing none, go ahead.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Waldham,
yes,
Commissioner Ludwig,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, consent agenda. Who wants to make a motion on that?
I'll move it.
Okay, got a motion by Holland. Is there a second?
I will second. No.
Okay. Second by Nelson. Any discussion on the consent agenda? All right, hearing none. Go ahead.
Commissioner Waldham,
yes,
Commissioner Ludwig,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Yes.
Chair Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll move on to the regular agenda and the personnel committee report. You want to take it?
I can, personnel?
Yeah.
I got it. Yeah, we met March 9th. And make the following recommendations. So I go through the whole thing or one at a time? Doesn't
I
matter.
don't know. What do you think? Maybe we should just do one at a time.
If somebody requests a poll one, they can do it.
Okay. Sounds good.
I'll go through them all. Assessor's office, we acknowledge the retirement of property appraiser Karen Stumbney effective May 6, 2026, and approve the backfill of that position and any subsequent vacancies that may occur due to internal promotion or lateral transfer. In the auditor treasurer office, we approve the following job descriptions to reflect changes in the supervisory reporting structure and better alignment with the areas in which the positions work. And the grant and special programs coordinator will report to chief deputy auditor treasurer, and the property records and election specialist will report to the auditor treasurer. In health and human services, acknowledge the retirement of case aide Lori Tavernier effective May 22nd, 2026. Approve the backfill of position and any subsequent vacancies that may occur due to internal promotion or lateral transfer. Approve the classification of one remaining grade 2 office support specialist position to a grade 5 case aide position to increase HHS capacity to respond to the HR1 Act and other new legislative requirements while maintaining the current number of full-time employees. Approve the recruitment for a hire ahead eligibility worker in anticipation of an upcoming leave of absence and of retirement anticipated in early 2027, and approve the backfill of any subsequent vacancies resulting from internal promotion or lateral transfer. On that one, Mr. Chair, I will make a couple additional comments and you can fill in too if you want right now.
Okay.
The reason for the hire ahead is the train up time is so long for that staff. There's so much stuff to do. So by the time they get them trained up, those actions will be happening with the retirement and probably the leave. In environmental services, approve the regrade of the deputy environmental services manager position from a grade 11 to a grade 10, which is down. due to the position not meeting the definition of supervisory employee under Minnesota statutes 179A.03, given the limited oversight of temporary staff with broader supervisory duties occurring only in the absence of environmental and services manager. Authorize the human resources director to execute a memorandum of agreement with exclusive representation to allow the position to be included in the bargaining unit. The reevaluation using Springset class and compensation safe system resulted in fewer points assigned in the supervisor category. Regrading the position from a grade 11 to a grade 10 will result in cost savings of approximately $3,786 annually and no change to the current head count. The rest of the items in the minutes are just information only. And I'll stand for any questions or somebody having, or between us, we can get them answered. And I'll move those, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I'll second it. I would just add, if you notice, like on environmental services, this was another example that we did check the grade and it did move down again. I just like to point that out because sometimes we just focus on the ones that move up, but you know, I think this happens quite often that they move down and so that was just a highlight there. There was a lot of stuff on this agenda. And if you look at the actual agenda, which is on the website, this was, I think, Jackie said the first time they made a new form for requesting new employees and or not new employees, but backfills. And it's got kind of a checklist of stuff. So I'd encourage you guys to look at that. It was very helpful to see that. And if you're not in the personnel committee, it can kind of help fill in a few of the blanks, I guess. So,
Yeah, I think we thank Commissioner Nelson for that.
yeah.
And then I would add that on the eligibility worker change, I think they're going to pick up some funding on that position too because of the work that person's going to be doing. So it'll help that.
And the higher ahead is no net gain. It just they got some anticipation, which were specifically is not a no net gain on employees, but just trying to get ahead of it. They can't call the people are going to be gone right now. So that's kind of where we're at. Any other discussion on the personnel committee? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for a vote. Deb?
Commissioner Ludwig,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Yes.
Chair Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yeah.
Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, and now we'll move on to the 2026 Aquatic Invasive Species Program.
Sure, Mr. Chair, members of the board, I'm going to take this one. So this is something that we've done for a number of years, going on 10 years now. The county annually is allocated funds from the state through the Aquatic Invasive Species Prevention Aid. In 2026, Pine County will be receiving $118,002 to carry out the county board's aquatic invasive species plan. If we don't spend all of the funds in any given year, we can roll them over into that program for the future years. So that has happened throughout history of we have not spent all of the dollars in a single year. So the total available for the 2026 plan is actually $178,926. So that is those dollars that have been rolling over. We have a lot of partners that we work with on the AIS plan. The things that we do internally is just a lot of coordinating, and then our watercraft inspectors are the main big piece of the plan that we have internally. Otherwise, all of the other things are carried out by partner organizations that we just provide funding to. So page 2, there's kind of a colorful table that shows you all of the items that our partner organizations are wishing to do. It is very similar to previous years, with the top section being actual control of those AIS infestations that we already have. And you can see the different lake associations and groups that that we work with on those things. Monitoring, Cross Lake Association has a program going with with some monitoring activities that they are hoping to continue doing. Prevention, so a lot of that becomes, getting out in front of it. Our watercraft inspectors is the big one in front of that, of making sure that anything going in the lake before it goes in is clean and making sure that none of that stuff comes out and goes into a few different lake. And then the education portion is something that really is a big push too, because it's just, it is something that a lot of people, about it, clean, drain, dry, but really what does that mean and what does that look like? And so it's just kind of been a variety of education methods we've done throughout the years. I do want to highlight, for example, the top one on that education, the video in Minnesota lakes and rivers. That is one that we have done for a number of years and done it at a higher dollar level. Last year, I think it was $3,500. And just knowing that where our plan dollars are, we really scaled that one back this year. So that is some like social media marketing stuff that they do. And so that's something that we felt like we could scale back, knowing in 2027, actually, our AIS funding is getting cut in half. So that is a concern I have had since the program started, as we spend dollars of knowing that the program could be coming to an end at some point. And so now starting in 2027, our dollars will be cut in half of what we've been getting. There is talk at the legislature and different programs of trying to make that whole again. But I think starting next year, we really have to really take even a harder look at this. Steve.
I remember that was a concern right off the bat, but I can't remember why the drop off in funding is
The state deficit was just how they balance. One of the things they used to balance the budget, the funding's been $10 million a year since the program started back in the day. And then starting in 2027, it's going to $5 million a year.
Otherwise,
I'll move it, Mr. Chair, but at discussion, I have a question.
okay, sounds good.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion second. You can go ahead with your question.
So how is the application process working? Is it just, is there more asked for than we grant typically, or is there, I know we have money left over,
Right.
but
So typically we are doing everything that people ask for, but like on that one that I was just talking about, that social media campaign, kind of, we get to choose the level we want to do that. So this year we chose the lowest level, just trying to start to try to scale it back, because next year we will not be able to fund everything unless that funding comes back.
Has the funding been pretty steady?
Right, it has been absolutely steady since it started in 2014.
Okay.
So are you asking for a motion on this then at any time here?
We got a motion and second already. We're in discussion.
Oh, okay.
So go ahead.
For some reason, I thought this was like legacy funding funded, but it's a direct
It's a
appropriation.
direct appropriation.
Okay.
Did you have any discussion, Commissioner Walden?
No, I'll just address it later. I know there's still some concern with the Windermere Lake Association and more help needed up on this end, but we can wait till next time. I didn't hear that you called for a motion, but yeah, I support this.
Okay. All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Holland,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Waltham,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to Pine County Child Care Retention Initiative. And Leslie.
Good morning, Leslie Sauter, your Economic Development Coordinator, and here before you with I'll admit a last minute request to submit a grant application to DEED to help a couple of our childcare centers retain staff and get them trained. So the background on this is we were a grant recipient of these funds back in 2024 is when we partnered with Pine Tech, Hinckley Finlayson Schools, as well as the Willow River Center, and expanded 4 centers and helped get them up and running and added approximately 108 childcare slots. So $500,000, 108 slots, got it done. And that was spawned off of a couple expansion projects happening, as well as the childcare study that was conducted in Pine County in 2021 and finalized in 2022. In that study, they noted there was about a 300 to 350 slot deficit. And so it made sense to take that study, work with these partners and expand childcare slots throughout Pine County. So when DEED released their request for proposals in January this year, I looked at it, I went, we'd need an updated study. I don't, from what I see on Facebook, which isn't the best source for information, it appears a lot of our centers are looking for kids. So enrollment doesn't seem to be meeting what the capacity is. So I'm not sure this is something worth looking into. So I kind of ignored it. And then on Tuesday of last week, one of the centers in Pine City reached out to me and was like, can we apply for this? I'm a 3-star rating. I need to get up to 4 or 5 to help attract kids in. I'm recycling through staff pretty quickly. I'd like to do some training and retention programs. And I was like, well, I have to get my request to the county board by tomorrow, but let's see if we can pencil something together. So that explains why I've adjusted it since last week when I gave it to Kelly. And then in the meantime, I reached out to another center that I knew was struggling to kind of cash flow over the last few months. And just said, is there something that would help you? And she's like, well, yeah, I've been looking at this IRS employee training program and I'd like to do this. So we threw some numbers together and adjusted it. I do have one more touch out to the Willow River Center just to see where her enrollment was at. And so my request to you guys is to, like it says, give authorization to the county administrator and board chair to execute necessary documents to apply for and accept funding. Because I'd like to massage this until the very end, which is the due date of today at 4 p.m. If we can help sustain and retain and keep these centers open since we worked so hard to get them open, I think that would be beneficial. As we know, the economy fluctuates. People, when you lose a job or your hours are reduced, the first thing you cut as a family is your childcare. So those childcare providers, while they're an integral part of our economy and part of the infrastructure in order to keep the economy thriving, they're the ones that take the first hit sometimes. So helping them stay open, and this isn't just like direct subsidies to them, it's to help train the staff so that they can access the right training programs, get the star ratings. And why that's important is Childcare Aware can provide scholarships to kids to attend these childcare centers because they have this educational rating. So it opens up a source of revenue for these centers to get kids in. Makes it a little easier for the parents to afford childcare centers, and in the long run, stabilizes the overall network of childcare centers. So right now where it sits at the moment is the one in Pine City Early Years Academy, Early Learning Academy, wants about $100,000, and then they'll be able to provide that 50% match. Quarry Kids is requesting $31,250. We believe they're exempt from requiring a match because they're in a high poverty area. And we would do a similar thing if it works out with Willow River. But yeah, that's the quick and fast of throwing something together at the last minute to hopefully support some of our businesses. We have acquired some letters of support from major employers and our community partners. So it should be a fairly strong application. My only hesitation is that they really wanted these to be for expanding childcare centers, but they did have some language about retention. So I'm really hoping that this makes a strong case to retain and support ones that they've already invested in.
Okay.
It's a lot, sorry.
Yeah, no, but it's all good. I think it is very volatile. It is very important to the area to have decent good enough childcare and affordable as well. So yeah, thank you for working on this. We do need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. We got a second motion by Waldham,
I'll second it.
second by Holland. Is there any other discussion on this?
I just have a question for Leslie. Is there any indication how many kiddos are we talking that
Yeah.
can cover this?
Great question. I did reach out to the 2 centers right now. The one in Pine has the capacity for 71 slots. And the one in Sandstone right now is at 88, but they're working on getting licensed for 106. So if we're successful, that would retain anywhere from 159 to 177 slots. So it's, and 13 staff. So it's pretty impactful for a fairly small amount of money from what I've seen. So
Sure.
Yeah.
So did Hinckley get one in their school in the
Mhm.
classroom, please?
it's doing great.
Okay, and then how about the one they were gonna do in the building? Did that fall?
Where?
Did the building one fall through the?
Yes. Yep. Yep.
The school is having.
School, like retrofit of their classrooms is doing very well. I reached out to Superintendent Masterson last week just to see where he was at, and he's very positive and it's doing very well.
That one works perfect, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, go ahead and call the roll.
Chair Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Waldham,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludwig,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to summary of conclusions regarding county administrator's 6-month performance review. Yeah, this was that closed session we had, just to go over the county administrator's 6-month review. And the county board reviewed her performance against the essential functions of the position, including assisting the county board, supervises department heads, serves as chief budget officer, manages day-to-day county functions, leads labor negotiations and contract management. And we discussed it in there. All was positive. I had noted that I think I received 5 or 6 emails from department heads that were all very positive. And yeah, so anybody got anything to add to that?
No, I thought it was very positive review.
We don't have no action, right? Okay. All right, so with that, we'll move on to commissioner updates. AMC Legislative Conference. Looks like Nelson, you were there.
I guess. Well, I and our Administrator Schroeder attended the conference. I thought it was a good conference. We a bulk of our time was dedicated towards meeting with our legislators over, specific issues. So we did that. We met both with Representative Nelson and Senator Rarick and Representative Dasa as well. I thought those times, they actually allowed more time than they were really slotted for us to be able to meet with them. So that was good. I don't have anything else to add at the moment.
Was there any indication that there's hope for the modernization of our Health and Human Services network stuff?
Yeah, everybody seemed to talk about it, but they talked about it in a different way. So whether they can actually agree on that,
It's gonna take a lot of money, and I know they don't have a lot of money. But
yeah, because we did have a speaker that morning that addressed the before we went to the Capitol, I believe, I don't know what his actual title is. He's a director of technology.
Minute.
Yeah, for the administration. And he talked about that it needs to be a priority. No, it needs to be a priority. Everybody seems to be on that bandwagon. We'll see if that comes to fruition, but.
What kind of number are they putting on that? Like the whole package, or you want a patchwork thing either?
They gotta rebuild it. I mean, it's an old DOS system that I think they've done a remarkable job still holding it together at all, but it's like driving a Model A down a freeway and.
No, it's like the meeting we went to up in Aiken.
Yeah.
Some some company, I can't remember the name now, they laid off all their old DOS or in the state, and the state just sucked them up just to try to keep that thing going.
Yeah.
There's multiple companies got rid of their DOS people or something. And I thought, wow, that's interesting.
Thanks for going, Commissioner Nelson.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
You have anything to add?
I don't think so. I found it very interesting hearing from other counties. I felt like we were really talking specific to the AMC platform and a lot of those HHS things that we need fixed quickly because they have very big dollar amounts attached to them. And a lot of other counties have a lot of other kind of what I think is minor things that they're so it was interesting to see the variety across the state of what you're asking, what your needs are.
Yeah.
Ours are much more big picture,
I mean, like they could do that themselves.
potentially.
And or I think the purpose of this is AMC puts it on.
Right.
They have a very specific platform and that's, it does get a little frustrating when it gets wearied away. So, but I understand that.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
I know other is way down at the bottom, but as long as we're talking about HHS and those sort of things, I do have another meeting. It's not listed on here.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
But that was because it just happened.
Yep.
This last Friday, a meeting at Pine County between, who was there? Representative Nelson, our director Becky Foss, Michelle, and then from AMC, Angie Thies was there. So that was actually a very good meeting in the sense of getting down to the nuts and bolts of, you asked the question, are they actually going to do anything? Okay, so all these different parties, whether it's Republicans, Democrats, the governor, have different views of what should happen. And they all say modernization, but what does that actually mean? Because, that old saying, the devil's in the details. And we stressed at that meeting that counties wanted to be at the ground level when it comes to whatever this modernization looks like. Because we've seen that happen before where the state will modernize something and they're looking out for maybe, I don't know whose interests, but it isn't always the county's interests. And so it's not a modernization for us. And so we wanted to be in on the ground floor on that. And partially because we actually have the expertise in what needs to be fixed, what needs to be adjusted. And so it was good for, I'll say three things. Becky put together a great program. I mean, it was only a little over an hour long, but she really addressed and what are the impacts specifically on Pine County, by not doing some of these things, what could change? And Michelle gave a demonstration to Representative Nelson about the old system and how that seems to be a lot of those, that's happening in other counties, that they're giving demonstrations to the legislators so that they can see firsthand, where the shortcomings are.
We're not making it.
Yes, and so he was very appreciative of that. And then from Angie's perspective, both between her and we've asked Representative Nelson to carry some of these things, not just Pine County, but AMC has asked him to. And so between he and his caucus, they have to figure that out, but it's, what is the bill actually going to say? And so we.
You cleared everybody over.
I appreciate all that goes into.
We got JJ back, we have. Colin.
And so anyways, just my thanks to those for putting that together, Representative Nelson for really working hard on this issue on our behalf. And it isn't easy because it isn't just a party issue, it's also a caucus issue.
Right.
Where are the priorities and where's the money, and for AMC working on this issue too, and bringing Pine County into the discussion at the ground floor. I think that is, to me, was really good. So that was my take on that.
Thanks.
Okay. And then you might as well keep going to Northern Counties Coalition.
Okay, that one will be kind of short. We did meet at the, again, I and Administrator Schroeder were there. And there was about 10, 12 different legislators at that meeting as well that night, where, you know, we got to have a little more extended time with them. And they were primarily northern counties. Again, hearing some of the issues that are important for northern counties, so that it was good.
Okay. Central Minnesota Council on Aging.
That meeting got canceled.
Okay.
And so you want me to do the
Yeah.
solid waste?
Yep.
Solid waste met, and it was Janelle Troops, basically last day. I think her official last day was Wednesday. Janelle's been with the commission for, gosh, ever. She's been the director for over 20 years. And so we'll miss her. And anyway, we have a replacement. John's been around. He'll be the head of running the landfill. And then we've kind of restructured, and we're bringing on a HR / accountant type position, which we've had in various different forms before, but bringing that back in-house now. We threw some of that out before. Anyway, we've gone through the interview process. We're in the process of negotiating a contract with one of the candidates, and hopefully that'll take place very shortly. The landfill, you know, it's doing what it's, we're a landfill. We take in garbage, and, you know, 100,000 tons of garbage a year is a lot. We take in 10,000 tons a month, roughly. And we did this last month. So, that's a lot of garbage.
What's your new, are you in your new
The
one?
new cell is being filled. We got a little bit more that we can put on the top before we close it of the old cell. And that'll take place as weather permits. And it's kind of a dance they do there to get it all done right. But anyway.
How many years you got left in that site, I think?
The total site, probably 40, 50, depending on, you know, it seems like every time we make a prediction for how many thousand ton we're gonna take in a year, we exceed it by a little bit. And so that all is cumulative. So I feel bad that all the years I've been on there, I haven't come up with a better alternative than landfilling. I haven't been able to convince my colleagues that we need to really start, because 40 years is gonna come quick.
Yeah, how far,
My
when
grandkids-
do you start planning a new site? What's the target there for you? When do you have to start?
We gotta start planning for our next cell right now, because we just opened our last cell we built. And by the time you go through the permitting process and the bidding out process, you gotta have about a 2.5 year lead time. And if this one's gonna last 7 years, you know, in 5 years, we're gonna be right back where we were. And we're,
Thanks.
yeah.
Okay. East Central Regional Library.
Okay, just two things out of that. Because Isani County actually provided less than what the budget called for, we had to finalize those cuts at the last meeting to their specific library. And so that's just the consequences of what happens. And secondly is that we will be taking up our joint powers agreement discussion probably in May. Okay.
FERPOS
I have a
meeting.
question, Mr. Chair.
Oh, yep, go ahead.
In regards to the Isani County provided less of their share, what's that dollar amount?
6,000.
So 6,000.
So they didn't save a lot.
No, because then
Six
the,
of 6,000, so they provided $6,000 less of the joint powers agreement.
correct. In the budget, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner.
And they lost hours.
Yeah, and yeah, the way the joint powers reads, that if you provide less than the budgeted amount, that those dollars don't apply across the whole system. They apply only to services in your county.
Yep. Yep.
All right, FERPOS meeting?
We met, and I think we were about ready to, come up with a plan that we would present to this board about, an agreement that we were, working out with the Historical Society to reopen the facility. But during that meeting, some Native American, groups were there, and it kind of bogged down. So it's kind of now between, they believe that there needs to be a Native cultural survey done of that site. I was amazed that one hadn't been done, but apparently it hadn't been done. I don't know if I completely understand what that means, but anyway, we don't own the site, the Historical Society does. And so I believe the best interest of Pine County is to wait and see what comes out of that. And then the Historical Society can, we can pick up wherever that leads. If I don't know, is that safe? Is that kind of what you got out of it, Kelly?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think we're kind of at a bit of a pause. We decided
Yeah.
maybe like a 2-month pause. We've done that before.
Chair. So that interjection, by other tribal, was that local or was that
No.
outstate?
Somewhere
Somewhere else?
It was, there were two different parties there, kind of representing two different things, but they were both from the Twin Cities area and not representing the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe.
Thanks.
Okay. Soil and water conservation.
Yeah, we met on the 11th. The water resources staff, they've been busy off season, but their well testing program they put out, I think I put for that went really well. In their tree orders, there were 21,000 so far on order. And then the forestry guy gave a good report. He went to the regional meeting, and there's the whole topic was on pine thinning, and there's quite a few pine stands around. The way they're leaning now is the clear cut. It really depends upon the site, because if you thin, the rest kind of die. But if it's a good site, you can grow poles versus posts and that type of thing. So you said that was really good because and they're working on a market and working with people on private land on that one. And then I learned that Ryan Clark, who you probably never heard this to, he was gonna come here and join the group when they moved over here and be on site as the state ag guy. Well, he's gonna stay in Carlton, but he's still gonna be working here with the group, but he's not gonna have a local office. And then they had a lot of discussion on going to legislative updates and stuff. Their group comes later, so that went quite a bit, and managing their CDs. But on the watersheds, the Snake River project came up, and there's quite a bit of discussion was on what you were talking about, the $25,000 limit. And they kind of sit where I sit, it should be increased a little bit so jobs can happen. And then there was a riparian project on Pine City, that shoreline project on the Snake on the Q property. That was approved for $9,600 and some bucks. And then a contract extension also down there on soil mapping on a couple different farms. It's a big one. That's a $22,500 project. And then Lower St. Croix is another one with new nutrient management projects going in there. That was the one for 22,000, sorry. That was the one for the Lower St. Croix has farm management acreage for nutrient management implementation. Then they had a discussion on, they have a postage meter that they use instead of buying stamps, and the cost was whatever. I said, why are we paying whatever it is, $1,000 a year for that, just to have that machine, if we still have to pay things? So they're gonna switch to stamps and see how that goes. But so other than that, was a pretty general meeting.
Yeah. Move on, Royalton Township Cannabis Meeting. Yeah, me and Kelly went there and it was good. I don't know. They had some questions and we had the answers. I think mostly answers, right? And that's, I don't know, we weren't there a tremendous amount of time and they just wanted a little clarification on some of Kelly's findings on the complaints on the Erba facility and we provided them and that was really it. So very.
Did they settle good on that notification issue they had between, it was a few months back, whatever that letter or whatever, something that happened and.
Right, so we didn't really talk much about the letter, the actual letter that they sent the county. We really went through and provided a lot of clarification based on, you know, the findings
Okay.
of the complaints.
Okay. So they were advised that was originally too, right? They just did, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good, you know, very cordial and decent questions were asked and I don't know, I think sometimes people don't agree with the answers, but they got the answers, you know, so I don't. So it didn't seem like there was any animosity there, and it seemed like it went fine, so. And then the next day we met with the Office of Cannabis Management and there was a full room there. I was very surprised. We had a couple of commissioners, zoning board chair, Kelly was there, our environmental services, and the state had their outreach coordinator, senior administrator officer, executive director, communications manager, program manager, and then the Department of Ag commissioner. So my take on it that they were very happy with Pine County. And almost looking to Pine County to see what we were doing because it's working so well. They were, and it was kind of interesting. The one person, she was talking about how many licenses and how much stuff was going on in Pine County. And she goes, I can't quite put my finger on it, but she goes, I think because we have a clear path for people to take here. And I rose my hand and is Leslie still here? She'll cause I said it's because we're in the middle of everywhere.
Yeah.
Is why. It was, they actually moving forward, they said, and the OCM had nothing to do with the law, but they said they were handed this and they're trying to figure it out as they go. And they're looking to us and executive director flat out said, he goes, I don't want to reward you for what you're doing good, or I don't want to penalize you for what you're doing good. But as we move forward, we'd like to reach out to Pine County as far as to help them get this path a little clearer and better. And we all said, well, they ain't gonna look to me for nothing, but Kelly and Aaron had definitely said they would want to be at the table for that. So
does that mean if we have issues, we can meet with them and then they take it to the state for changes, or what am I getting out of that?
yeah,
I think because OCM is also still trying to figure it out. You know, obviously none of us have ever done this before. And so like they explained, they have ongoing rulemaking authority. So they have their first version of the rules and, we've all been running with it. But now they're looking at doing an update. And so could be just looking for input on different pieces to the.
Yeah, that's the thing, like, what is the process to have the problem input back to the state to make the changes?
Right.
That's the process that isn't figured out evidently.
Right, and kind of the piece that I relayed to them as well is I think that it's important if they would engage with the other state agencies more. Because I've reached out to different state agencies about different questions or topics, and the state agencies just say, well, you have to talk to OCM, but OCM isn't an expert in all of these different things. And so I'm hopeful that was a positive that came out of it too, because then Department of Ag had said, well, we have a meeting with all of the different state agencies. Haven't you guys been at that? And no, they hadn't. So
They know the issues we have been having.
right, yes, because I mean, I don't think that OCM is gonna have all the answers, but they need to lean on their partners that they have. So I think that was a positive of it.
Yeah, the other thing that I kind of took out of it was a lot of these rules and regulations, they're not necessarily in concrete, which we were kind of talking about, but there's a lot of stuff that's going on, like the low potency. That was another thing that they're working through, and the rules are changing. Seems like, every week. But it was just, yeah. It was good. I mean, it was good. So I don't know, Roger, if you had anything to add.
Well, yeah, I mean, I thought, first off, a bulk of the meeting was actually addressing the technicalities of licensing. Because, it's so new for them. They rolled it out so fast by mandate that, all these licensing questions that we had, and actually they had, and they're developing their licensing process and renewals, as we go along. So a lot of the bulk was spent, of the meeting was spent on some of that stuff. But then also, it's a different process that they followed to roll this out compared to most everything else. And like our Commissioner of Ag said, a lot of times these rules are very spelled out ahead of time, whereas in this case,
Yeah, it was too fast.
they weren't, and they were maybe pushed down to the local level. And you're seeing a whole variety of different things that are happening, and so they're all taking that in and thinking, well, if we're finding some things that are showing up in other places as well, maybe they need to take a look at that instead of just saying, all you locals deal with that. And so they may be taking back some of that. Otherwise, I thought it was, honestly, we did not spend very much time talking about, specific cannabis operations. That wasn't the purpose of this meeting. Get a bigger picture of how this thing works, especially for me, not being there on the ground floor. So that was very helpful to hear from the office themselves. So.
Yeah, and I just add, I mean, that I think was part of what I took out of that was they were looking to us to be a partner in this, because we have been so successful with it.
So what is our expectation then, or what do they want from us?
Just like Roger said, as they move forward, if they're gonna rewrite some of these rules, what can they do to make it clear? What can they do to make it simpler on local governments?
Okay,
And we're gonna be there.
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
So then, well, we know, like, when we write an ordinance, we have to tweak them. We all do that, or, so I'm sure the state gonna have to tweak the laws. To me, what becomes the question is like, people gonna be grandfathered in, or are they gonna have to, if there's a change made, are they gonna have to come up to compliance with it? That's gonna be the issue to me.
Yeah, and nobody knows at this point. That's just, you can add that to a list of 20 other unknowns.
Yeah, and they don't know. That's what that was I mean,
Why
they
don't
were,
you explain that if they hopefully, if they get to that.
yeah, they're gonna try to get more clarity, so.
Right. Yeah, and after the meeting too, because OCM had noted that they previously had a work group with AMC and then the League of Minnesota Cities. And they hadn't met with that group in quite a while, and they were thinking about getting that group back together. So I did reach out to AMC after that meeting and just, said, we've got experience with this. If you end up getting the group back together, or if you have questions, please reach out. And actually then Sunday already, I had an email back from AMC because there was some legislation that was introduced with some changes to cannabis statutes. And I was just copied on kind of the feedback of, this is the legislation that was introduced. This is the confusing pieces. So I think we're already in that AMC loop now too.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for doing that.
Yeah, it was positive.
Open the door anyway.
Yep. State Community Health Services Advisory Committee.
That was at the same time as the cannabis meeting. so
Oh,
I could
okay.
not do both.
Pine County State Roads Coalition.
We met last week. It's kind of it's a different group than I usually meet with, so it's kind of interesting to me, but State Patrol and our Sheriff's Department had some trash data that's to me, it's interesting, things like 87% of the people in Minnesota wear a seatbelt, when they do seatbelt checks. The crash data says that about that, if you take that roughly 15% of the people that don't wear seatbelts, they comprise 3/4 of the deaths in traffic crashes. So that, to me, that says, well, why wouldn't you wear a seatbelt? I mean, that's pretty stark data to me. That's what I wrote down, because that really stuck out to me. And I those of us that have grandkids probably know for a fact that since those kids were first put in the car to come home from a birthing center, they were locked in some kind of a safety harness. And they continue that through their life. And the biggest reason that when they get to be teenagers, they don't wear a seatbelt is because their parents don't. And so it's a learned behavior, but it's a lifesaver. Anyway.
Chemical Health Coalition.
Okay, just two things out of that. I'm gonna start at the back because I joined the meeting a bit late. So the last part of that was a discussion on updating our tobacco ordinance and the fact that it does need to be updated because it's been literally decades since it's been updated. And so the question was, when do that falls to us as a board. And so we need to think about when, maybe this summer sometime. Maybe we have it on the schedule at a different time, but anyway, for a committee of the whole to talk about.
What were their concerns with the ordinance the way it was,
I'll ask.
Was that our compliance checks aren't enough, or?
No, and so, Mr. Chair, it's based, the last ordinance was updated in, I believe, 1997. And obviously there's been a lot of changes with
New
tobacco
products.
products, years and flavored products and things like that. And I think they're hoping to address those additional changes.
When I said decades, I wasn't kidding.
No, I didn't mean to put you on, I just
No,
was
no,
wondering.
and maybe the first one was the rollout of a presentation on just cannabis awareness. And I mean, we see the slide, but I don't know, maybe Chair of the committee, Friedrichsen, you could maybe highlight that a little bit more, that whole rollout of that.
Sure. So Sam Lowe, our public health director, spoke, and she talked about, she obtained a grant. And so a lot of these grants put signage within retail places that state, be aware of where these things are stored and things like that. So people are purchasing these products, something you really don't think about, but if you have kids in the house and now you have, things that look like low potency sodas, a kid could mistake that for just a regular soda. So it helps just to be that consumer to be aware of what's in the home and stuff. So they had that campaign, and it's a campaign that's done in other locations. They found it successful and they rolled it out here. And it was very slick, actually, the presentation and how they rolled that out.
Okay. City of Pine City County meeting.
Well, it was kind of a bust, but we did have a little informal meeting with the mayor for a few minutes. Then I had to get to a jobs and training meeting, but I think the city of Pine City is in the process of, maybe they've offered the job to somebody now, but at the time anyway, they were narrowing down their list of candidates for public works director.
Haven't heard anything about the old courthouse or who's might be
The
looking.
courthouse has been purchased, and it's up to that developer to do something with it.
Who bought it?
Jacob Cruz's development company. So hopefully he'll get something going there.
Central Minnesota Jobs and Training.
Yes, we met, and basically we passed some resolutions to allow them to seek grants, because they're grant-based, and elected new officers, and Dan Wilkham from Mille Lacs County is our new chairperson for the Joint Powers Board.
Okay. Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe and County meeting.
That got canceled.
And Lakes and Pines.
Lakes and Pines, a lot of resolutions there again, because they're grant funded, and so you need to pass multiple resolutions every meeting for them to apply for those grants. We do know that it was a clerical error up the chain of federal command for the fuel assistance, so we didn't get all the money that we should have for Pine County. So we think we'll be able to get through this heating season anyway. It's about done. Maybe by tomorrow it'll be.
Did they run out?
No, not entirely. They were able to fudge some money around and make it work.
Okay. Any other meetings anybody attended?
The only other thing is I had Debbie make a copy of this. It's a map that shows the market values around the state and where we kind of stand. And then there's a list of all the counties, what their land values are for ag land and where we sit. The map to me says we're in a good spot. Our values are, I think it's 3% is what they went up. I'd rather be there than in 7 or 8% up, or the 5 or 6% down. And I think those of us that were around on the board when housing values dropped, it was a very sad time at our board of review when people owed more on their house than their house was valued for tax purposes. And so I hope we don't get into that.
Well, kind of exploded there a few years ago.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else have anything other?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the only other is, like, if I can slide it in here, I didn't get my expense claim form. So I can either reach out by email, I guess, to.
I have an
to,
email
Kelly.
drafted to you right now, JJ.
Oh, great. Well, thank you. And who's this speaking?
This is Mary.
Okay, thank you, Mary.
Hi, I have an email drafted because after they were approved, I went through and I was like, I don't have those. So I have an email that I was going to send off at the end of the meeting to you to get those in.
All right. Well,
So
thank you so much.
you're
Thank you.
welcome.
All right, anything else to come before the board? All right, we will declare the meeting adjourned.